Hello students, today I am here with another reading passage called Research Using Twins, and today I am going to cover 4 true false not given because this is one of the main topics which is being considered as quite tough by the students. So let's jump straight to it and understand the question. There may be genetic causes for the differences in how young the skin of identical twins looks. So basically, firstly we have to mark the keywords so that we can find the location. There may be genetic causes for the differences in how young the skin of identical twins looks. Okay, so we have to find the genetic causes that there is a difference between the skin of identical twins, and this difference is because of genetic causes. So yes, if the difference is because of genetic causes, then the answer is true. If the difference is not because of genetic causes but some other factors other than genetic causes, then it should be false. Understand this concept very carefully because this concept gets repeated, gets tested in all your IELTS final examinations. So let's see if the difference is because of genetic causes. If it is because of genetic causes, then it's true, and it will be false if the difference is not because of genetic causes but because of some other factor. However, if there is a word missing, maybe differences, genetic causes, or young or skin, then the answer would be not given. Alright, let's start skimming the paragraph, and we'll stop wherever we will find the word differences. Two biomedical researchers all over the world twins offer precious opportunity to untangle the influence of genes, genes and the environment. So here two factors are being discussed. One is genes and one is environment of nature and nurture. Because identical twins come from a single fertilized egg that splits into two, they share virtually the same genetic code. Okay, so nothing has been talked about this one yet. Let's see. Yes, here comes the word differences. That means the location is here. Any differences between them? Them means these identical twins. Okay, so identical twins and the differences. So we are able to find these two words. That means the location is here. Any difference between them? Any difference between the identical twins? Okay, one twin having younger looking skin. Okay, now here the third one we are able to find skin as well. So let's match. Any difference between them, like both of them? One twin having younger looking skin, for example, must be due to environmental factors such as less time spent in the sun. So one twin is having younger looking skin, the other one skin is not so young. That means the one who is having younger looking skin is not because of genetics but because of spending more time in the sun. So that's the environmental factor, not the genetic cause. So the answer will be false because the difference in the skin is not because of genetic cause but anything other than genetic cause. So here they have given the environmental factor. So the answer is false. Be very careful. If you are able to understand this concept, this is going to help you immensely in your exam. Alright, let's move towards second question. Twins are at greater risk of developing certain illness than non-twins. So be very careful with the word greater. Greater means there is a comparison made. So if you are able to find the comparison, then the answer would be true or false. If you are not able to find the comparison, that means the answer is not given. Be very careful because they just want to confuse you by giving such words, because in general students miss such words like greater, more, most, some, many. So these are some of the words you must be very careful about. Greater, more, most, all, some, many, few, and such like. These are just, I would say those words which students easily miss. On the other hand, these are the words which create a lot of difference. If you miss this word, that means the answer will surely go wrong. Alright, so this is a word which says greater. Twins are at greater risk of developing certain illness than non-twins. So yes, so there is a comparison that there are twins and there are non-twins. So twins are at the greater risk of developing illness than non-twins. So if they say yes, twins are at a greater risk of developing certain illness than non-twins, then it is true. But if the contrary is given, means this one. What will be the opposite of greater? Means twins are at, or basically non-twins are at greater risk of developing certain illness, then that's false. Or maybe twins are at lesser risk of developing certain illness than non-twins, then also it's false. And if the comparison is not made or something, from here is not given, then the answer is not given. Alright, let's start skimming. Okay, ji. Alternatively, by comparing the experiences of identical twins with those of fraternal twins who come from separate eggs and share on average half their DNA, researchers can quantify the extent to which our genes affect our lives. Okay. If identical twins are more similar to each other with respect to an ailment. Okay, so here comes the location, because the question talks about illness. So the synonym for illness is ailment. If identical twins are more similar to each other with respect to an ailment than fraternal twins are, then vulnerability to the disease must be rooted at least in part of heredity. Okay, here they are just saying that why they are getting ailment could be partially due to heredity. But in this line, there is no comparison between twins and non-twins. Let's see here in this line if there is any comparison. If there is, then the answer will be either true or false. If there is no comparison, then the answer would be not given. If identical twins are more similar to each other with respect to the ailment than fraternal twins are. Okay, yes, so there is a talk about identical twins and fraternal twins. That means there is a talk about twins and non-twins. Yes, so there is a talk about twins, non-twins, diseases also, but there is nothing about greater. See? So they just say that if this happens, then the cause of this disease would partially be heredity. So there is no comparison. That means greater, lesser. So we are unable to find such a word in this one. That's why answer is not given. Just stop the video in between, understand this concept, listen to my words again, make some notes, because these questions are not meant only for the reading called research using twins. These concepts will be further used in each and every reading. So you should not be understanding the answer to this question, but the concept that why it is false due to factors other than genetics. Why it is not given? Because of the word greater, because there is no comparison. So just build your concepts. Bouchard advertised in newspaper for twins who had been separated at birth. Okay, so if he advertised, then it's true. If he did not advertise, or if he was not able to advertise or something opposite of that, then it's false. If there is nothing mentioned about advertisement in newspaper, or maybe he advertised about twins but not about those who had been separated at birth, then it's not given. Let's see where the Bouchard comes. These two lines of research studying the differences between identical twins to pinpoint the influence of environment. Okay, and comparing identical twins with fraternal ones to measure the role of inheritance. Okay, have been crucial to understanding the interplay of nature and nurture and determining our personalities, behavior, and vulnerability to disease. So nothing about Bouchard. Let's see if we are able to find something here. The idea, basically, I want to look for the word advertisement and Bouchard. The idea of using twins to measure the influence of heredity. Yes, here it comes. Influence of heredity dates back to 1875 when the English scientist Francis Galton, but it's talking about Galton, first suggested the approach and coined the phrase nurture and nature. But twin studies took a surprising twist in 1980s with the arrival of a study into two identical twins who had been separated at birth and reunited as adults. Okay, so here comes our location, which says a Bouchard advertised in newspaper of twins who had been separated at birth. So this talks about separated at birth. Over 2 decades, 137 sets of twins eventually visited Thomas Bouchard's lab. Okay, in what became known as Minnesota study of twins, reared apart, numerous tests were carried out on the twins and they were asked. Okay, but here there's nothing about advertisement. So there is a name of Bouchard, there is a name of the twins who had been separated at birth, and they 137 sets of twins visited Thomas Bouchard's lab. This is also been talked about, but there's nothing about advertisement, neither in paragraph 3rd nor 4th. Let's see if there is something in the next paragraph, otherwise it would be not given, because the location is here. So it is talking about everything but not advertisement. So the answer is most probably be not given, because they won't be talking about these things again. But let's skim it again. Bouchard and his colleagues used this mountain of data. Yes, even in this paragraph there is nothing about advertisement. So the answer is not given again. So the last question, epigenetic processes are different from both genetic and environment processes. So understand the question properly. If you are not able to understand the question, even if you get the location, you won't get it correct. Epigenetic processes are different from both dash and dash. So there are 3 processes which are being talked about. First is epigenetic process, second is genetic process, third is environmental process. So they are saying that this process is different from both this and this. Means this process is different from this and this process is different from this. So when the answer will be true? Answer will be true if epigenetic process is different from genetic process and also different from environmental process. But if it is not different from these one, then it's false. If the location talks only about this one thing, not this one, then it's not given. Alright, so let's move towards the location. So till now I'm unable to find anything about environmental process, genetic processes, comparison with epigenetic. So epigenetic is not the word which I been able to get yet. So let's move towards the next paragraph. Let's see if we are able to find something here about epigenetic processes. So here comes the word epigenetic processes. So epigenetic processes are chemical reactions tied to neither nature nor nurture, but representing what researchers have called a third component. These reactions influence how our genetic code is expressed, how each gene is strengthened or weakened, even turned on or off to build our bones, brains, and all parts of our body. Okay. So epigenetic processes are chemical reactions tied to neither nature nor nurture, but representing what researchers have called a third component. These reactions influence how our genetic code is expressed, how each gene is strengthened. Okay, let's see. If you think of our DNA as an immense piano keyboard and our genes as the key, each key symbolizing a segment of DNA responsible for a particular node or trait, and all the key combining to make us who we are. The epigenetic processes determine when and how each key. Okay, so this is just example of piano. One way to study of epigenetics is revolutionizing our understanding of biology is by revealing a mechanism by which the environment directly impacts our genes. Studies of animals, for example, have shown that when a rat experiences stress during okay. And this talks about another example. Okay. Epigenetics, so I am just able to find the location to be here. Epigenetic processes are different from both genetic and environmental processes. So if we skim and scan the entire paragraph, we are unable to find anything about epigenetics. So we are only able to find epigenetics here. That means the location is here. Let's understand this one. So it says that epigenetic processes are chemical reactions tied to neither nurture nor nature, but representing what researchers have called a third component. That means these epigenetic processes are chemical reactions which are dependent on a third component which we do not know. So epigenetic processes are dependent on third component, but these epigenetic processes are neither tied to nature nor nurture. That means they are saying that epigenetic processes are different from nature and nurture. So here for nature and nurture, they have used the word environmental and genetics. So they say that epigenetic processes are neither depending on genetics nor depending on environment. That is why epigenetic processes are different from both. So here they have used the word genetic and environmental processes, and for the synonyms they have used the word nature and nurture. So for nature they have used environmental processes, and for nurture they have used the word genetics, that how the twins are reared. So what's the synonym for reared? It's nurtured. So because these processes are neither dependent on nature nor nurture, that means epigenetic processes are different from genetics and environment. So basically not dependent but tied. So the word is tied. Tied means they are linked. I mean they are same. But here as they are saying that they are neither tied to this nor to this, that means this process is different from both these. So because of the word tied, it justifies the word different. So yes, epigenetic processes are different from both nature and nurture. That's why the answer is true. I hope you are able to understand all the questions. So just build your concepts, make some notes, and if you have any doubt, you can just drop a comment in the comment box, and see you then again with a new video. Bye for now.